Welcome to this preview video for the Curse of Candelabria. This is an area control dudes on the map game which is very unique and different from whatever you have seen so far, both from aesthetics point of view, looks on the table, but also from I would say mechanics and gameplay. Let's get this straight. I haven't had such an area control game with so unique and fresh setting and ideas, and I would say this is immediately for me the thing that stands up and stands out from the crowd, because it makes it a very different game from anything that I have played so far. And I love area control dudes on the map games. I have a ton of them. I highly enjoy them. So this immediately speaks to me because it's very unique. The theme is very special. We are talking about living candles. We're talking about wandering castles. We're talking about a fictional fantasy world where candles are actually heroes that participate in wars between 5 different houses and clans, trying to take control of the game board and the area to win victory points throughout the course of the game. But on top of that, to make things more difficult, as you would expect, there is a huge curse that takes manifests itself on different ways through the different curse cards in the course of the game, and that means that it's also dynamic. So on top of battling for supremacy with the other and victory with the other houses, you also have to fight for the actual curse and to compensate for its I would say negative effects as it moves from place to place. So this is very unique in terms of I would say both setting and idea and theme. But that aside, the game offers a lot of different, I would say, aspects that build up to make a really complete and unique package. First of all, I started saying my opinion immediately, but I'm really excited about my last session with the game, and I had a ton of fun, because this is a game where you have an economy that you need to build up. You have your personal house board and you need to update it with upgrades so that you can build up your income, let's say, and have different storehouses for storing your resources, different combination of strengths and advantages that they are unique for your player clan and player board, and you have to make upgrade tiles that you physically place on the board. You also have a very dynamic way of putting the candles, which are the heroes essentially, on the board, and this has a very different, I would say, approach from other games, because you can have up to 3 candles with different bases, so you differentiate them on the board, but they all have a different number of wax layers. So they're candles after all. So your hero, which has a specific card with specific abilities and goes in one of your 3 slots, if it's your first slot, it has on top of it's a candle on a base with 2 layers of wax and a flame on top that moves around the board and has strength for participating in combat, abilities, etc. And your second candle can go has 3 layers of wax, and your 4th candle has 4 layers of wax. But what is wax? Wax is important because your candles, your heroes, move around trying to take control and spread their flames, of course, thematic, yeah, across the board, so you gain control of them and also take advantage of the actions on the different spaces of the territories. But if you choose to spend one of your layers of wax, you can move one additional space and do an additional action through the course of the game when you take the actions during the main action phase of the game. So this is a difficult thing to balance, because essentially these are your health points, because if you lose all your wax pieces, then you lose your candle and it's eliminated. And not only you lose strength and presence on the table, but also you lose a card with their abilities and all the different things that you have built in order to deploy. So this is very unique and different. And on top of that, the way that the curse is different from each game from game to game, because you have 3 different cards. From the first year, it has a special manifestation, how the curse works, which area it affects, and what negative things it brings. On the second year, it has a different card, and on the third year, it has a different card. And of course, there are 9 different cards altogether, so you can understand that there are different endless possibilities and lots of different variety in the game from the curse itself only. Now, on top of that, to build the different rituals that you can do, because you can try to claim the different temple pieces in order to gain victory points, make a set of 3 different pieces of temples, gain all the way up to 12 victory points, which is a lot. Spread your flames across the region so you gain more victory points and control more areas, and of course deploy your candles so that you have more victory points at the end. There's a lot of interesting aspects also on the battle. Just to mention that the battle is straightforward. You accumulate your strength from the different pieces on your board. Wandering castles, which are huge and so lovely and amazing and very, very unique. They bring 3 strength value. Your candles, each of your candles brings 2 strength value, and each of your flames brings 1, on top of any abilities you may have towards battle, which are a lot, of course. And then players have tactic cards. They play tactic cards, up to 2 tactic cards on their player board, on their war board, and this can cause the opponent to lose wax pieces so that they eliminate their candles, or remove flames tokens from their side, so you can manipulate this number. And of course, if you have the higher strength, then you win the battle and gain victory points. Lower amount of victory points on the first year, higher on the second year, and much higher on the third year. So all these things build up to complete a very, very unique and different, I would say, fascinating as well, area control game with dudes on the map, which dudes are candle dudes. So how unique is that? But also the game mechanics are very, very interconnected with a very, very extremely, I would say, carefully crafted way that delivers a fantastic gaming experience for this genre and this specific type of games. So join me at the table. I'll show you how the game plays in practice and come back at the end of this video, as we always do, for a final wrap up about the game. I will put in the description of the video the Kickstarter campaign page, so you can go and visit and find all about it. It's starting soon, but also I'm going to add timestamps so that you can jump quickly from one chapter of the explanatory video to the other, so you can quickly understand how everything plays and get to see exactly what you wish to see. So join me and let's see how the game plays. Welcome to the Curse of Candelabria, a fantasy game set in the kingdom inhabited by living candles. The origin of the kingdom have been lost in the mists of time, and the only remaining evidence of the architects, the ancient inhabitants of Candelabria, lay in ruins. Now, Candelabria is dominated by powerful factions, divided into houses who travel the lands in immense wandering castles covered in wax. They seek, trade, and compete for 3 substances, fundamental to their continued survival: the sparkling crystal, the precious gold, and the scarlet ember. With these, they forge wonderful artifacts and fuel their castles. The houses have always been in competition with each other, but relative peace has reigned over Candelabria for centuries, under the absolute guidance of the Flameless King, perched deep within the labyrinth castle in the center of the kingdom. But now everything has changed. The king has died mysteriously, and a terrible curse has fallen upon the kingdom. Death and decay plague the lands of Candelabria, and the candles are consumed by war. Hostilities between the great houses have begun, and only one leader will be able to ward off the curse and be crowned as the new ruler of Candelabria. So let's see the objective of the game. In the Curse of Candelabria, each player takes control of one of the 5 powerful houses and competes with the others for ultimate victory. Over the course of 3 years, into which the game is divided, each player will have to accumulate victory points by developing their house, expanding their influence and military power, also by fighting the curse, and all while avoiding being destroyed by the other houses. At the end of the game, the player with the most victory points will sit on the throne of Candelabria and hold the power to lift the curse and reign supreme. Now let's quickly familiarize ourselves with the components of the game. Keep in mind that this is a prototype, so even though it looks gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous, still is a prototype and work in progress. So, we have various boards around the game. We have the game board, which is the area of the kingdom that you see here. It's a 6-piece board which has all the regions and territories that we're going to explain later on. We have the curse board, which is constructed by adding these pieces here, and we're going to explain during setup how it goes, but it hosts the 3 different curses that will occur on the 3 different eras/years, if you wish, of the game. So the first one, the second and the third one, and there is a bunch of cards like that to give a high replayability of the game. So these are essentially like card holders holding the different curses over the course of the 3 years and how this will unfold through the course of the game. And we have also here the strength of the curse, depending on the era, but also we have the various regions that they are linked with. Then we have one upgrades board, which is this nice stack / rack over here, which contains all the upgrade tiles that can go into the game. This is absolutely gorgeous, and it's very easy not only to keep things set nice and tidy and by different types of upgrades, but also to have it as a display so that you can always be able to collect the upgrades that you are interested in accordingly. Also, we have a separate rack which also holds a display always of 6 tactic cards. These cards are placed here and they can be selected by the players, and there are always 6 displayed, and this is really nice because it's also very easy, and you can see all the tactic cards from far across the table. Of course, there's a huge stack of tactic cards that you can see here, and these are always used to give always a different game, but also a lot of options once you fill in the tactics rack. These are 63 tactic cards, and there are also 20 house tactic cards, 4 per each of the house. That again have the same size, but also they have the crest and the logo of each of the house, so these belong to the specific house, as you can see. And these are the starting tactic cards that you're going to place on your war board over here, and this is let's say your starting hand of tactic cards. Also, the components in the player board of the players is consisted of 3 pieces. One over here, the main board, which is essentially stands for your house board. Then you have a slot here which clicks and adds the respective war board, and you have on top the ritual board. So just to give you an idea how this works, again, this is a player board. Here you're going to have your war board, and during actual war you're going to flip it so that you can have slots for playing tactic cards. This is really nice mechanic. And then here on top you're going to add your ritual board, where you can place your capture towers, and you can use them to perform rituals, as we're going to explain later on. But all these are clicked together and give the personal player board consisted of 3 parts. There are slots. I'm going to explain how the anatomy of this works for the candles that are placed here, the stacks of candles with wax, and here's your discard pile for your candles. Also here is your specific clan. There is asymmetry in the boards and different things for each of the clan, but also depending on the different types of upgrades that you're going to placing on your player board, you're going to be having a lot of different possibilities and options. Again, as I said, we're only using 3 cards for the curses for each game, and there are a total of 9, so you have lots of different curses to select from. This is a stack of candles that besides your starting candles that you have in your player color, you also have a ton of candle cards. Of course, there is also some placeholders for art. The art is being developed as we speak, but already for those that you have already been developed, you can see that these are really nice. We're going to explain the anatomy of those candle cards, but they look really great. Okay, so the whole bunch of candle cards besides your specific starting candles that you have next to your player board. There are 120 resources that you can see here: the blue, the red, and the gold, the yellow, which are 40 for each color. You have 9 curse tokens that they are numbered over there. You have 5 score tokens, 1 for each player's crest, and then you have also on the personal stock of each player, you have the flames, which have the color of the player, and these are really nice plastic minis with a flame that they serve as a dual purpose. You can have them on the board, as you can see, but you can also have them on your candles, which can have of different size of waxes depending on the base, if it is a circular, if it's a square or a pentagon. And then you have this, for example, is a 4-layer candle, which is going to have the flame on top of it. You can spend wax to continue moving further than your normal movement, and this is really interesting mechanic of the game. But keep in mind that you will be placing on top of these slots cards so that you will be able to deploy candles, put them in the actual board and start moving around in order to perform your goals, to conquer areas and to try to achieve victory over the course of the game. So these are the components of the game. We also have the temples. We have 3 grey temples which sit in the middle always on the 6 slot, and these stack really nice. The reason that they stack is that you can, if you win the battle, you can also take those temple pieces. You can do ritual from 2nd and 3rd year onwards. You keep them over here. Once you acquire them and you win them, you keep them in your ritual board over here. And you can use them to spend them to do different things as explained here on the ritual actions, and they also provide different opportunities. Each player also has, besides their candles and their flames, they have their starting wandering castle. These are the wandering castles that they move around, and they're really nice miniatures, even if they are at the moment, as you could expect, prototypes. I've done a specific unboxing of this prototype just to show you how cool these minis look. These are called wandering castles, and together with the candles of the players and the player colors, they will be moving around trying to take dominance of the area and win the game. So the last mini that you have on the board is a curse, which is depicted by this black mini, which moves around and it dictates where battle will start, each of the rounds. And the last thing, they have these tokens, which are numbered. This is a 7, for example, and you place it on the 7 region. And if it's standing down, it's a piece should break for this era, and no war can happen once you have it, for example, standing down instead of on the temple stack itself. But we're going to explain them as we move around. Now let's move to the components overview. First of all, we have the game board. The game board is where most of the action takes place, and this is divided into a map of regions numbered all the way from 1 to 10. You can see them if you haven't placed any temples. This is region 7, for example, while this is region 10, etc. So all the way from 1 to 10, and each region is characterized by a color and a number. And each region is in turn divided into 3 territories, each characterized by an action icon. And each region is separated from the others by a continuous line, and it is considered adjacent to all neighboring ones or those connected by bridges. So for example, this is a yellow region. It has 1, 2, 3 territories. It has an area in one of those territories where the temples are stacked, the number of the region, and each territory has a specific action icon that you can see. The same goes for this one, for example, or that one, etc. Each territory within a region is considered adjacent, so from here there is adjacency to this one or that one, or you can go across bridges. So this region, this territory in this region is adjacent to that one, for example, in terms of movement and playing the game. Also, the score track numbers from 0 to 100, it goes around the board, as you have seen. And there is also a turn order track numbered from the first position closest to the sun, which is this one, to the last position closest to the moon, which is this one. And it indicates turn order in the course of the game. Players during setup, they're going to place their flames on the corresponding turn order, and this is going to be the turn order for the game to begin with. Now, we have the house board over here. The game board is the main area where all the action happens, but there is a lot of information on the house board for the players. The house boards are each player's main board, and they are divided into seal slots where candle cards must be placed above this during the deployment action, and each card slot corresponding to a seal has a respective circular, square or pentagon shape, as you can see here. And again, as I mentioned during the setup, it has 3 slots where you can potentially have all these 3 deployed in the game, and the respective candles with their respective abilities, etc., are shown in these slots. There is a seal powers area, which is the crystal blue here. that you see over there. And these are upgraded tiles of blue color and inserted here and give powers, respectively, to candles. There is a supply powers card, the gold yellow, this one, where upgrade tiles are also inserted here and they give different abilities. And there is also the power, the castle powers area, the amber red, which is this one, which gives abilities to your power of your wandering castle. And again, respective red upgrade tiles are inserted here and here. There is a discard area on the left of your house where you have a place to put discarded candles face up and dismissed ones face down, respectively. And we're going to explain how this happens. And each space for an upgrade tile specifies the cost in resources to insert the upgrade tile and the number of victory points obtained after inserting the tile. So for example, if I'm going to insert this an upgrade tile here, I need to spend 2 yellow gold resources and it's going to give me 2 victory points. And the same goes for all the upgrade slots on your house board. Now let's see the anatomy of the curse card. Curse cards represent the embodiment of the curse that has descended on the land of Candelabria. A curse card is composed of the following elements. First of all, you have the name of the card, which is over here or here, respectively. Then you have the region where the curse takes effect. This takes effect in region 10, this in region 7, and this one in region 1, for example. Then you have the illustration, the aesthetic appearance of the curse, which is gorgeous, by the way. And then you have the effects. Each curse has a global, with the global icon on top, and a local, with the local icon on the bottom, effect. These are only specified on the card itself and vary from curse to curse. Candle effects belong to 2 categories. You can have the global effects that are applied to all regions, and then you have the local effects that are applied only to the region where the curse manifests itself, which is the one below. Where the global one applies, the one with the globe on the top, applies in all of the regions on the game map. Then you have the candle cards. Candle cards have a key role in the Curse of Candelabria. These depict the loyal agents and expert fighters who will to fight for the glory of the house and ultimate victory. A candle card is composed of various elements. So first of all, we have the name on the top. Then we have the illustration, which is also very, very beautiful and has a lot of variety. And you have the cost, what resources must be spent to deploy the candle on the battlefield. One icon is equivalent to 1 unit of that resource. For example, this needs a blue crystal and a red gem, while this one only needs a red gem in order to be deployed. And these are depicted here. 1 unit art depiction stands for 1 amount of that resource in order to be deployed. And all of this needs to be covered if there are multiple. Then you have the effects. Each candle can have 1 or 2 active or passive effects that trigger at specific times. The effects are only specified on the card itself and vary from candle to candle. They belong in 4 different categories. You can have, for example, this one, where you have this thunder icon. The immediate effects. These effects are activated only once when the candle is deployed for the first time. So in this one would gain the player 2 tactic cards, for example. Then you have these ones with the thunder icon in 2 arrows, in a circular arrows. These are the recurring effects. These effects are activated when a candle is deployed and during the recruiting season, as long as the candle is on the game board at the time and not defeated. So each time they're going to be able to move 1 target candle. You also have these ones with the infinite icon. These are passive effects, and these effects can continuously be applied from the moment the candle is deployed for as long as the candle is on board, and they always are active. For example, its power is equal to its wax over white, overwriting or any other power effects. And then you have this one with the scroll icon, which are the discard effects. These effects, unlike the previous ones, are performed only when the candle is placed in the discard area next to your left side area of your player house board, and while using a maneuvering action. So once you do that and using a maneuver action and you discard it, then you gain this effect if it has a discard icon. So 1, 2, 3, 4 type of candle effects by category. Then we have the tactic cards, and these are some examples of tactic cards. Tactic cards represent the schemes put in place by the house in order to prevail over their enemies. A tactics card is composed of various elements. First of all, we have the effect itself, which is on this lower icon, as you can see. The effect itself represented by the icon, and the icons used in the center of the actual card, and by the background color, the same for all cards with the same effect. And then you have the strength of the effect, which is on the top, the number. And this is represented by that number and the number of icons in the center of the card. So you see this is one icon and you see it one time. This is 3 icons and you see them 3 times. These are 2 strength and you see them 2 times, and so on. There are 7 different types of effects. For example, we have this one, which is the melting candle. You remove as much wax from more of your candles participating in the battle. Candle wax pieces. These are, just to show you, again, these pieces. So I can remove one piece of wax, or as much wax as I want, from the candles participating in the battle, in order to reduce the wax of that candle. So you remove as much wax from one or more candles participating in the battle as specified by the strength of the effect. So in this case, only 1. Then you have this icon over here. Dying flames. You remove as many flames in the region where the battle is taking place as specified by the strength of the effect. So in this case, I would remove 2 flames. Then you can have, for example, another card icon, which is this one. And this stands for waxing candle. Restores as much wax to one of your or more of your candles participating in the battle as specified by the strength. So in this case, I would restore only 1 piece of wax. And then you have respectively roaring flame. You place as many flames in the region where the battle is taking place as specified by the strength of the effect. In this case, for example, 2. And of course, it can in any territory where there are no other flames of your own, and the territory actions are not triggered by placing these flames. Then you have this icon over here. This is the gain resources. You gain a number of resources as specified by the strength of the effect to be added to your warehouse immediately. So in this case, 3 resources, either blue crystal, red gem, or gold piece, respectively. And you also have this icon over here. So this icon is the advance initiative. Advances a number of positions in the turn order as specified by the strength of the effect. So for example, if it's one only icon or 2 icons, I would move up on the turn order 1 or 2 spaces respectively. Meaning if it was this card, I would move 3 spaces up the initiative turn order. And then another favorite of mine is this one. This icon over here. This is a score victory points. You score a number of victory points as specified by the strength of the effect. So if I played this card during war, I would gain 2 victory points because there are 2 victory point icons on the card. Keep in mind that each house starts with 4 house tactic cards, which have the crest of the house on the bottom right side of the corner. So this is for the yellow player, the Rota Auera Guild, while the generic ones have no crest on the bottom right side of the tactics card. Okay, so let's move on. Setup on start of play. So we have the general area where most of the action takes place on the game board, and it's using a series of components that are made available to all players. In order to prepare these components, we take the game board and we unfold it and we place it in the center of the table, as you see here. Then we separate the 3 gray temples levels from the others and stack them on the temple space in region 6. And we take the number 6 brazier token and place it on the gray temple. This is the 3 pieces of the gray temple. As you can see, we take brazier number 6 and we place them on the corresponding 6 space over here. So on the gray area. Then following that, we take the remaining 18 temple levels, mix them thoroughly. You can use the box cover to do that, or a bag. And randomly you stack 2 of those temple spaces in each of the remaining regions. And then we take the remaining 9 brazier tokens and place them on the temple in their matching region. So for example, by randomly mixing, I got a yellow and a red, and I randomly place them in any order here. and I take number 5 brazier token, because this is 5 region, and place it here. As you can see, each of those has 2 temple pieces, random by color, but the respective number, the brazier number token 9, is inserted on top, and it needs to match the location where you place the 2 temple pieces. So 9 goes on 9, 8 goes on 8, and so on. Then we construct the curse board. We take the 9 curse cards, shuffle them, and draw 3 at random. We return the rest to the box. We take the 9 curse tokens, which are these, numbered all the way from 1 to 10. We shuffle them and place 3 face up in each of the respective slots on the curse board, and randomly of course, and then we place the chosen curse cards face up above those tokens in each slot. Then we place the curse miniature next to the curse board. Again, these are 1, 2, 3 per curse, 1, 2, 3 per curse, and 1, 2, 3 per curse card, and then we also have the respective curse miniature, which is going to be moving and causing extra havoc and war in various regions of the game board, respectively. Then we construct the upgrade board. We take the 63 upgrade tiles and divide them by color into 9 piles of 7 tiles each, the 3 piles of each color, and we place them on the upgrade board in the appropriate spaces. You see they match by color, so all the blue ones are here, all the yellow ones are here, and all the red ones are here, respectively. Then we construct the tactics board. We take the 63 tactic cards, which are these cards over here. We shuffle them thoroughly and we place them in a pile next to the game board, and we take of course then the 6 out of them. We open them face up and we place them standing on the respective tactics board rack so that you can see easily the cards. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 displayed on the rack out of this tactics deck. Then we take the resources, we divide them by color into 3 piles and place them next to the game board in a place accessible for all to reach out, and form the reserve. From here, resources will be taken and deposited during the course of the game. Now let's see the player area. In the Curse of Candelabria, each player must choose a house to lead. Each house has a unique color, powers and abilities that differentiate it from the others. The houses are: first of all, we have the Sinis clan, which is this one, with a red color. These are fearsome barbarian warriors. Then we have the Rota Aurera guild, the yellow ones, which are engineers and opulent merchants. Then we have this one, which is Sator's order, which is the blue color, and these are powerful and noble priests. Followed by Nova Vita Coven, the green ones. These are occultists and obscure alchemists. And last but not least, we have the Luminous Knights, Honorable and Gleaming Paladins, and have this color respectively. Now, starting the game, once each player has chosen a house or has randomly assigned one by whatever method it's necessary, if players do not agree, then each player must take 1 house board, which is this one. Again, that's the house board. 1 house ritual board, which is the one that goes and clicks on the top right side of the board. It has an area for temples once you acquire them in order to use them for rituals. It has the ritual actions indicated here and some information about victory points depending on the era, the year, the first, the second and the third. These clicks over here. Of course, I'm squeezing everything up because of to make everything fit in the video for ease of displaying what I want to show. Then we have the house board, which has this slot that goes on the bottom right side of your house. It has an area for the tactics that belong to the house. They go here in your tactic cards. Here are the actions and the icons that you're going to find on the course of the various territories in the regions of the game, and these have specific use that you can see here. These are the actions and the iconography is explained. On the flip side, you flip it once you go into war, so you can use this to play tactic cards and follow the resolution of combat in war. So for the moment you just click it here and you place it from this side face up. in order to construct the full area of your player board. Each player also has one wandering castle for yellow. It's this one that is going to start in one of the 3 territories of their starting region. It has 3 seals, 1 square, 1 circular and 1 pentagon of the respective color. Again, these are very nice. They have the shape. This is a pentagon, and then here you can click wax pieces to put your candle, and each one for each of the 3 shapes, circular, square and pentagon. Then you have 25 flames of the correct respective color. The flames can either go on the board directly or on top of your candles to indicate your active candles that they're deployed on the board. Each player also gains 9 wax. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 plus 1, 9. These are the wax pieces that you can get. You have also 4 house candles. They have the back of your crest to show that this belongs to the yellow player, and these are the starting house candles that you have. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can deploy them in the slots here. At the beginning you just lay them here face up. You also have the 4 specific house tactics, again having your logo on the bottom right, and these are 4 and they start here on your bottom right section of your board. And this is all you need for player pieces to begin the game. Now, depending on which house you chose, you place your wandering castle on the game board in the correct region, as well as the indicated number of flames. Then you place a flame in the turn order as specified in the starting table in the rulebook. So here, for example, you see the sequence of the turn order, how it starts the game. It's specific as indicated here. So for example, you have the house of Sinis clan, which is starting at region 8. They just start as turn order 1, so they put their red flame here to denote that they're going to start the game, and the region that they start the game is the region with the brazier number 8, so they start here. So they're going to place their flames in each territory, and the wandering castle in any territory of the region. So as you can see, I've placed 1 flame in each of my starting territories in the region that I start, which is this one with the number 8, and then I can place the wandering castle in any of those territories to begin the game. Then we have the Rota Awera Guild, which is the yellow ones. They start as second in turn order, and they place their flames in each territory and the wandering castle in any territory of region 2. That's all the way up here. This is region 2. And there is 1 flame in each of the territories, and they start with a wandering castle in one of the territories of that specific region. Then we have Satore's Order, which is the blue. They have the blue color. They start on region number 3, back at the bottom corner of the table. They put flames in each of the region, and they put their wandering castle in one of these regions. Let's put it here, for example. Then we have the Nova Vita Coven, the green ones. They start 4th in the turn order. They place flame on each of the territories of the region which do not have a portal. This is a portal, so they don't place a flame here, they only place here and here. And they also place their wandering castle in one of those 2 regions, not in the one that has a portal. Again, they start at territory number 4. And the last but not least is with the Luminis Knights. They start on the territory, the region, number 9, which is over here on the top left. They place 1 flame in each of the 2 territories that do not have the portal icon, and they also put in one of those 2, again with not the portal icon, their wandering castle respectively. And they are 5th in turn order. In order to prepare your player area, you place your house board in front of you, and you attach the ritual and the board extensions along the right side as shown in front of you. Then you place the house candle cards face up in the discard area. This is this area here with the discard icon. They have to be placed face up. Then you place the house tactic cards on the space on the warboard, which is over here. And then you take a resource of each of the colors and you place them in your warehouses. Last, you take the seals, the candle bases in the respective space in front of the house board. So they should be here, here, and here. I have placed them conveniently on the matching shape for each of the candles. And then you'd be placing the wax and the flames next to your player board for ease of access. So, how to play? The game takes place over 3 years and each year is divided into 4 seasons, which follow one another in order. At the end of the 3rd year, the players calculate their victory points and determine the final winner. The seasons are 4 and they happen in each of the 3 years. With this sequence, first we have the Mist season, in which the curse is activated and resources are produced. Then second we have the Kindling season, in which players perform their actions. The main course of the action phase is here. Third is the War season, in which conflicts are resolved. And fourth is the Recruiting season, in which new candles are acquired and certain abilities are activated. Again, the Mist season, the Kindling season, the War season and the Recruiting season. In each of the 3 years we have all these 4 seasons in this specific sequence. So let's start by seeing a couple of words for each of the 4 seasons that occur throughout a year. First we have the Mist season, the first season in the year. This season is divided in 2 sub-phases, the Curse activation and the Resource production. Let's see first the Curse activation. Each revealed curse card corresponds to one of the 3 years in play. First year, second year and third year. You can see those also from the Latin numbers here. 1, 2, 3. And during this step, the relevant curse must be resolved. So, to do so, first we read the region number in which the curse will be unleashed, indicated on the top of the curse card. So let's say we are in the first year. This is the first curse, and the curse will be unleashed in region 1. So we need to find and locate region 1, and in this region the curse will be unleashed starting here. Because this is region 1. The first thing we do here is we remove the brazier from the temple in that region and place the curse miniature on top. So we're going to take this, remove the brazier, lay it down, take the miniature and place it here. So this is where, in this area, in region 1, the curse will occur. So placing it here, and let's zoom in so that you can see. I placed it on top of the temples in that region, exactly here. Again, this region 1 is consisted of 3 territories, 1, 2, 3, and the curse affects all territories of that region. The brazier number was removed from the top and placed in that territory flat on surface. Then we resolve the global effect on that curse. So for example, this one, minus X flames, or this one, you can't perform altar and polter actions. Or if that was the active curse, minus X resources. So these are the global effects that take place throughout the whole map, on all areas. And then, on all regions, okay? And then we read out for the current active curse, let's say it's this one, the local effect. For example, when the battle ends, the winner removes all candles and flames in the region, okay? Or it could be, depending on the curse, don't perform actions in the region. Or candles or wandering castles cannot leave this region. So depending on your active curse, which takes place in this specific region, players need to know, that's why we read aloud, the local effect. And again, the local effects, the second box on the bottom box of the curse card, these effects are applied only to the region where the curse manifests itself, meaning here, here and here, in this example. We're still in the mist season, so after curse activation, the second thing that happens is the resource production. Each player resolves the production steps indicated on their warehouse area simultaneously. You can see the icons here. And of course, each of the three resources occupies a space in your warehouse, so you need to store them respectively. Again, each tactics card is placed in the deck of the war board over here. And of course, each victory point scored in this way during this production, this resource production, makes your score marker advance the track of the board respectively. Second season is the Kindling season. During this season, players take actions in preparation for future conflicts. This season is divided into rounds following the initiative order over here, starting with a player placed in the first position and continuing to the last, then resuming from first again until the end of the phase. When indicated by the turn order, a player will choose whether to either deploy or maneuver. He can do one of the two. A player cannot decide to pass their turn, for example, not to perform one of the two actions I just described, until they have run out of candle cards in their possession. They can do either deploy or maneuver. During deploy, a player may choose to place a new candle on the battlefield and activate its effects. To do so, first choose one of the candles in your hand. This is your hand over here. There are, of course, different candles, cards, warriors per player, and you will be able to gain more during the course of the game besides your starting ones. So let's say this is my hand. I choose one of my candles, my cards, and I place it in a free slot on my house board in order to deploy it. So let's say, for example, this is the one that I've chosen for the reasons I decide based on my strategy. This is one of the three slots, 1, 2, 3. I'm just placing it here so that you can see it easily. So there are three seals available. You have again the circular, the square, and the pentagon seal, which determine the height of the candle and any additional resource costs in this way. So for example, the circular seal candlestick allows you to create a candle with 2 waxes and has no additional costs. So in order to, if I place them here, I will use a candle of 2 waxes height on the circular base. If I place it on the square seal base candlestick, this allows me to create a candle with 3 waxes for the cost of any additional resource, and you can see that because it has it here. And then you can take those, put a candle of 3 waxes high, pay 1 additional cost on top of the general cost, and place the card here. And the last one, the pentagon seal, the candlestick here allows you to create a candle with 4 waxes, total of 4 waxes height, as you can see. Place it on the pentagon slot, and I need to pay 2 resources in addition to the cost. Keep in mind that these resources are on top of the printed costs for deploying this candle. So if I deploy this here, I have no additional cost, but I need to pay 1, 2, 3 specific resources as indicated on the right side of the candle card. In order for me to pay for them, I remove them from my warehouse and return them to the general supply. Then, once I have paid and placed the correct number of wax pieces on top, then I take one of my flames and place it on top of the candle so that I have created the respective candle and I'm ready to deploy it. Then you place the newly formed figure in any territory on the game board which is adjacent to your wandering castle. So let's say I place it here, adjacent to my castle. Once a candle is placed, perform the following steps in any order as applied. For example, if the candle has an immediate or recurring effects written on the candle card, you resolve them immediately. In this case, this candle has a gain 1 golden upgrade, so I should gain 1 golden upgrade immediately from the supply. If the candle has any passive effects, read them out loud to all players so that they are aware. For example, if that was my candle, I should read out to everybody that power 3 if it is power 3 if if it fights for a golden temple level. So if it fights for a golden level temple, that means the temple is golden, like this one, then it has a power of 3, so it has better strength. If there is not one already, place a flame in the territory where you have deployed the candle and resolve the action on the territory. The icon. So let's say I have placed this candle here, adjacent to my wandering castle. There is no flame here. I would place one flame immediately on that territory, and then I would resolve the action on the territory based on their icon. If there is a crystal blue upgrade tile set in the seal slot of the deployed candle, resolve its effect. For example, if this was already here, I would immediately gain 4 additional victory points while I was deploying this candle. The deployment is now concluded and the player passes the turn to the next player in the turn order for them to continue. Death of a candle. Let's say a candle dies, and we're going to explain how this happens. But when a candle loses its last layer of wax, it is considered dead. You place the corresponding candle card face down in the discard area, and then you remove the seal from the game board and place it back on its now empty slot. So when this candle would lose its last layer of wax, that means you cannot have a base with a flame on its own. That's not valid. So when the last layer of wax, no matter how many wax layers it has, is lost, then the candle is destroyed, dead, and that means that it goes back to its original slot. And the card is discarded face down on the left of your house board. So this is deploy. So during Kindling season, as we said, the player can spend the action to either deploy or maneuver. So how do you maneuver? A player may move their forces on the battlefield by choosing to maneuver. To do so, they discard one of the candle cards from their hand, face up in the discard pile. So let's say I'm discarding this one, okay, from my hand, so it's not deployed. If I have any discard effects, like this one, gain 1 resource, I immediately apply them before or during the maneuver phase, as I wish. And then I make up to 2 moves by taking one of my candles or my wandering castle from the territory in which they are currently located and placing them in an adjacent territory. The same candle can be moved both times, or 2 different figures can be moved one each. For example, you can move one movement point your wandering castle, and 1 movement point one of your candles that are already deployed on the game board. If there is not one already, place a flame in the territory where you have moved your candle into, or your wandering castle, and resolve the action of the territory based on the icon. So let's say I move this one here. There is no flame here in this region. That means I'm going to place 1 flame of my color in this territory of that region, because it didn't have one before. Remember, I have 2 movement points. So let's say with my second movement point, I can move here. There is 1 flame already, so I'm not placing 1 because it has 1 already. And then I can do the action based on the icon printed on that territory of this region where my figure, either wandering castle or candle, moved into. The maneuver is now concluded and the player passes the turn to the next player in the turn order. Keep in mind that when moving wandering castles, only 1 wandering castle at a time could stay in a territory. So you cannot have this, for example, in the same territory having 2 wandering castles. This is not allowed. So only 1 wandering castle in 1 territory, and also when the wandering castle enters territory, it removes all the opponent's flame tokens from the board. Not the candles, the flame tokens. So for example, if I move here, I would remove the blue flame from that region. And of course add 1 of mine, since there was none there before, okay? No, from here, I would move here. I need to move to adjacent areas, so I cannot jump in there. From here, I would move here, and on another movement, from here, I would move here. Melt a candle. If you decided to maneuver during your turn, you may decide to remove a layer of wax from a candle in order to move it and make one additional movement, as long as it does not lead to the loss of its last layer of wax, and this is resolved exactly like any other movement, thus placing flames to activate actions, etc. So for example, let's say I moved before this to bring it here, and I can say I decide to melt one wax, so I removed one piece. This is not the last one, so I'm not killing the candle, and I can move it one more and then add one. Follow the same process like with the previous movement. I would add one flame here. I will not remove the flame of the opponent because this is not a wandering castle, this is a candle. I would do it if I would move the wandering castle. As long as there is a wax to remove and this is not the last one, I can keep doing it. I can do it again so that I can move further a candle. Of course, there is a cost in doing so. You lose wax layers, which you don't want to do, usually. Again, the territory actions. When a candle is deployed or moved into a territory, check whether or not there is a flame of the same house in that territory. If a flame is present, nothing happens. Otherwise, the player must immediately place a flame in that territory and perform the action indicated by the territory icon, unless it's a stronghold. This is the icon of the stronghold here. So, let's see the 6 different actions. First of all, we have the most common one, which is this one, the most actually desirable, I would say, which is the altar. You gain 1 victory point for each territory with this icon on which you have placed a flame. So let's say this blue candle just moved here, they place 1 candle, and then they would gain this icon action, they will perform the action, which is gain 1 victory point for each territory with this icon on which they have already placed a flame. So if they only have 1, they would gain only 1 victory point. But if for some reason, let's say they also had a second one, let's say this belonged to the blue player with a blue flame, not belonged, but it had a blue flame, then 1 plus 1, 2, the player would gain 2 victory points by moving the candle here and performing this action. The second different action is the battlefield, which has this icon over here, the shield and the sword. You can also see it here, for example. Now, the battlefield, when this action is resolved with the same way, you draw 1 tactics card from the tactics board for each territory with this icon on which you have placed a flame. Again, it could be more than 1, so for each of those flames that you have on such an icon, for each territory with this icon where you have 1 flame there, you draw from the tactics board 1 tactics card. This is, I remind you, the tactics display. The forge icon, which is this one. You take 1 tile from the upgrade board for each territory with this icon on which you have placed a flame. And in order to take 1 or more upgrades, you must pay the cost specified on your house board beforehand, and you cannot take more upgrades than you can afford. So you need to place the cost of the printed cost on the house board in order to place those respectively. I remind you, this is the rack with the upgrade tiles from where you forge, and you're going to be placing them on these slots here, here or here, and you need to pay the printed cost in order to do so. The mine icon, this icon over here. So you draw any one resource from the reserve for each territory with this icon on which you have placed a flame, and you place the resources as normal in your warehouse on free slots, and any resource that you cannot place are simply discarded. So let's say you have flames on 3 such icons on territories on the board, then you're going to gain 3 resources of your choice and place them as long as you have free slots on your warehouse square boxes on your house board. Next icon is this one, the portal. Here you have various icons all across the map. So you take 1 of your miniatures, candle or wandering castle, for each territory with this icon on which you have placed a flame, and move them to any 1 or more territories on the game board. This movement is not considered deployment or movement, and therefore does not allow you to place a flame and consequently perform the action relating to the new territory where your miniature is repositioned, but it allows you to do a very versatile and flexible reposition, which will make a lot of sense according to your plans down the road. Last but not least is the stronghold icon here. This is not an action. Territories with this icon can only host one flame, so you cannot have more than one flame tokens. And if there are no flames in this territory, you place one of your own, otherwise you do nothing. Once the action of the territory has been resolved, the player may continue their turn. Now let's see the ritual action. During the second and third year of the Kindling season, a player can perform a ritual action in any time by returning one temple level in their possession to the box in order to receive the following effects. Of course, you need to have available temple pieces and tokens, which I'll explain later on how you achieve, and the place to have them stored is in your ritual board on this slot, respectively. You can have any number. And if you perform to do the ritual action, you can discard one of the pieces that you have already collected here and get the respective effect. So if you discard a blue one, a blue temple piece, you ignore the effects of the curse for the remainder of the year. If you discarded a yellow one, you gain 3 resources of any type. If you discarded a red one, you gain 2 tactic cards. And if you discarded a grey one, you get any one of the previous effects because it acts as a joker. The end of the Kindling season. When all players have no more candle cards in their hands, this phase is concluded and play continues to the war season, because all the players, one after the other, have played all their candle cards from their hand to either deploy or maneuver. Third season is the war season. Conflicts take place in the season, and these occur in each region where the brazier has not been removed and laid down, starting with the region in which the cursed miniature is located and proceeding in ascending numerical order. To start this season, you take all tactic cards, house or acquired, from your war board and put them into your hand. They're available to you. Then you detach the war board and flip it over to the tactic side. Let me show you. I will take all my tactic cards, flip my board to the war side and take all of my tactic cards in my hand. So let's assume we're focusing on this section here. The combat power is important and needs to be assigned. So each miniature deployed on the game board by the player that has a combat value, which is added to the combat power total based on the type. So basically the green player adds their miniatures power together, and for example the grey player here adds their miniatures power together. Unless specified otherwise by, for example, an upgrade or a candle ability, the combat power of each type of miniature is 1 for each flame, 2 for each candle, and 3 for each wandering castle. Keep in mind that each candle always has a combat power of 2, regardless how much wax it has. So, for example, this candle here from the green player has 3 pieces of wax. Nonetheless, their combat value is 2, even if it had 1 wax or 2 wax. Again, let's calculate the score, for example. If we don't have any upgrade abilities that they give different values or candle abilities, the total amount of strength in this contested region here would be: the green player will have 1 for this flame, plus 3 from the wandering castle, that's 4, plus 2 from the, any candle, no matter the height, so 1 plus 3, 4, plus 2, 6. While this player has no candles, so it has only 3 plus 2, 5. So the difference is 5 for the grey player versus 6 for the green player. So how do we resolve the battle? The battle takes place individually, region by region, starting from the one containing the curse miniature, which is fighting the curse. So we fight the curse itself, we're going to explain later on, and progressing in ascending numerical order before continuing again from region 1. Except for the region containing the curse, battles are all resolved in the same way. So let's see how a battle will be resolved in an area where a region with no curse miniature. First, we determine which house will participate in the battle. All players who have at least 1 miniature flame, candle or wandering castle in any combination in the region at the start of the battle are considered to participate in the battle. And again, I'm talking to the whole region, not just one territory. So, for example, if the grey had more flames in other regions here or here, they would contribute to the total sum. But all of the territories that belong to a region are contributing to the battle of that region. So you determine, first of all, the players who participate. Each player chooses which tactic cards to play during the battle. They can play up to a maximum of 2 tactic cards, placing them on the war board to cover the appropriate spaces. All cards are revealed at the same time from all players participating in the battle, and players check whether any of the chosen tactic cards have the same effects as each other. If so, all tactic cards of the same type, are immediately discarded without resolving and placed back face down next to their war board. So you need to place tactic cards that they are different from your opponent, otherwise they will cancel each other out. Players continue by resolving the remaining tactic cards in turn order and discarding them. And victory is awarded to the player with the highest combat power in the region, and in the event of a tie, the highest of those players in the turn order. The winner will receive an amount of victory points that varies according to the year. So if the winner wins a battle in the first year, they will gain 4 victory points, and this is a reminder over here, 4 victory points. If it's in the second year, 8 victory points, and if it's in the third year, 12 victory points for winning the battle. They also receive the topmost temple piece from that region. So, for example, in this case, they would gain the yellow because it's the one on the top, and they put them on the ritual board. So basically, I've said that the combat strength is 5 and 6, but this is going to be manipulated from the tactic cards. So the final result is the one that will dictate the winner. And if there is a tie, we check for turn order. Now, once the victor has been determined, you proceed to the next battle or to the end of the phase if all conflicts have been resolved. Keep in mind that you can have lack of opponents. If there is only one house in any region, it gains automatic victory. The player will obtain the appropriate number of victory points in addition to the topmost temple level from that region without carrying any of the steps from a regular conflict. Fighting the curse. The battle in the region containing the curse is always the first to occur. While all rules relating to regular conflicts still apply, there is a substantial difference in that the houses are only fighting for control of the region, but also to defeat a common enemy. So the curse is represented by adding its miniature to the battle, which is assigned a combat power value that is determined by the curse card. And it's not possible to alter this number by any means. The curse is considered to be lower in the turn order than other players, meaning that it's always defeated in an event of a tie. And if no player manages to match or exceed the combat power of the curse to win the battle, then it will immediately destroy the temple in that region and return all levels of that temple to the box. In addition, all flame and candle miniatures that remain in the region are destroyed and removed from the game board as well. If the curse has an effect that activates at the end of the battle, it's applied regardless of whether the curse was defeated or not. So let's say we are in the first year, the value of the strength of the curse fighting here would be according to the card. Let's see. If this was the first year, its strength would be 3. But if it goes the third year, its strength would be 5. End of the war phase. Flip your war board back over and reattach it to the house board and place all remaining or used tactic cards on your war board. So that will happen. We go out of war once all conflicts are resolved, and we place our tactic cards back on their respective slot. The fourth and last season in a year is the recruiting season. During the season, players perform some upkeep relating to candles. The season is divided into 3 sub-phases. We have first, resolve recurring events, then dismiss candles, and third, acquire candles. During the third year, only the first step is resolved and the play continues with the final scoring. So, first step is resolve recurrent events and effects. In turn order, each player resolves the recurring effects of any candles they currently have deployed. So you check if you have any recurrent, like this one, perform a forge action, minimum value of 1, and then in turn order players resolve their recurrent respective effects. Then we go to the second step with it, which is dismiss candles. Each player may decide to discard one or more of their candle cards they have previously deployed. If that player decides to discard a candle card, it is taken and placed face down in the discard area as though it were a dead candle, and its miniature is removed from the game. Third and last that happens in recruiting season is acquiring candles. At the end of each year, a certain number of candle cards are added to the candle cards available to each player. A player is entitled to an additional candle card for each candle that has died or been dismissed during the current year +1. This phase takes place simultaneously for all players. Each player receives one advanced candle card for each candle card that is face down in their discard area. In addition, you deal a number of advanced candle cards to all players based on the instructions that they are included in the rulebook. For example, if you're playing a 4-player game, a 5-player game, 4-player game or 3-player game, you check on the turn order, and the candles dealt are different depending on the turn order and the number of players. Each player chooses one advanced candle card for each candle card that is face down in their discard area +1. And each player then returns all unchosen advanced candle cards and any candle cards face down in their discard area to the box. They will no longer be used for the game. Once this is done, players continue to the next year. And again, by advanced candle cards, I'm referring to the whole deck of additional candle cards that they are for players to potentially recruit and later use for their effects and deployment on the board. The end of the game. When the third year has passed, the game is over. The players count their flames and candles on the game board and the tempo levels they have acquired to determine how many additional victory points they have achieved on top of what they have already so far. Each player receives one victory point for each of their flames present on the game board, except those on candles. So for example, this one and this one will not going to give victory points, but this, that, this, and this will give victory points, one victory point to the blue player. The same happens for all players simultaneously. Also, you get 6 victory points for each of their candles present on the game board. So in this case, the blue player is going to get 1, 2, 3 times 6, 18 victory points because they have all 3 of their candles on the game board. And they also gain 12 victory points for each complete set of 3 different color tempo levels. For example, if they had in their possession, this is a yellow player, but if it was a blue player, 1 yellow, 1 red and 1 blue temple, they would gain a total of 12 victory points for each such set. It's not described in the rulebook, but I assume the gray pieces are very valuable so they can counter as any color you're missing. Once scoring is complete, the player with the most victory points is considered the winner. In the event of a tie, the highest of those players in the turn order is declared the winner. And then you have it. This is everything you need to know on how to play the Curse of Candelabria. This is a great area control game with lots of cool ideas and mechanics. So let's wrap it up and see back up my final thoughts. Wow, talk about uniqueness, fresh idea and different perspective on the genre. I love dudes on the map and area control games. It's one of my categories and type of games that I really enjoy, especially with higher player counts. The cool part about this game is that it brings you in a fantasy world very unique and different. And I know every game can have a different theme and a different setting and a fictional fantasy theme or whatever, but you need to make me believe it. I need to buy in this specific theme. And this game, because exactly it's using something very different, I have never seen fighting living candles. Have you? I've never seen wandering castles moving around, huge constructions where the whole castle is actually moving from place to place. And this on top of the great art and the amazing detail in the aesthetics of the game. And this is a prototype. Geez, this is a prototype and it looks gorgeous already. All this on top of that, they give something very unique. You'll find yourself, at least I found myself, captivated by the theme, by the scene, by the different mechanics of the game, but also how all of them blend very nicely together to deliver a unique, extremely unique gaming experience that, of course, if you're a fan of area control and dudes on the map games, you'll definitely love it. Now, speaking of some of the aspects of the game in specific, The curse mechanism and the way the curse works is very unique. It's different because it has a different, you know from up front where they're going to strike, which region. You know which regions cannot participate in battle, which are secure, they're peaceful for this specific, let's say, a year. And you know also the specific global and local events. Things that may happen or may not happen or are allowed or are not allowed because of that specific curse. So this gives a very, very, I would say, dynamic way of how the curse behaves from year to year. So this is a plus. The second thing is how you can upgrade your house. Besides your, let's say, different cards that you have in different candles, which is the backbone of your, let's say, the working horse of your engine, to spread your influence across the map. The upgrade tiles are very, very unique. You have a lot of upgrade tiles that they can either increase your capacity in your warehouse, can give you victory points, they can give you different strength, they can give you all sorts of resources and different things that you can use them, click them together, time them together so that you can make something that works really well, efficient, and produce a lot of victory points, a lot of battle strength and a lot of resources for you as needed on the time that it's needed. And on top of that, the fact that you're not struggling just to gain control of an area. Okay, we've seen that a lot of the times. You're fighting to gain control of different specific temple pieces, because these are the ones that they are all across the map, and having sets of those can reward you very, very generously. If you have a set of 3 different ones, they'll give you 12 victory points. You can decide to make rituals, because by making a ritual, especially if you see that you cannot make a set of 3 or a second set of 3, it can give you a big advantage when it's needed. And then of course the last and most important thing is the battle and the conflict itself. I like the games where conflict and battle is resolved with simple rules, quickly assessing the total battle strength, because you can see and calculate from the minis what is the total battle strength of each of the participating conflicting sides. And then by playing clever tactical cards, which you also have on a specific rack, so you can really go and buy something very, very unique that you want, you can have really the upper hand and the edge when you're playing specific battle cards, tactic cards. You can pull the carpet under your opponent and win the battle. And of course, winning the battle in the first year gives you just a few victory points, but trust me, if you win a battle, one of the many battles that can occur during the last year, it's rewarding you generously. So overall, highly, highly impressed about the game. I love area control games with candle dudes on the map, but I think this is really unique. It speaks to me. It speaks both because of the theme and the setting and the fantastic table presence. I can't emphasize enough how thematic it feels to build candles with wax pieces and having wandering castles and pieces moving around in order to give you the final gaming experience that it gives. An awesome design, very, very highly recommended. So check it out. This is the Curse of Candelabria.